Hey guys, my name is Gloria and welcome back to my channel. It is my birthday week and I am torturing myself by going over some childhood, teenagehood favourites, and this week I am exploring the series that is Twilight. The amazing literary perfection, I think we can all agree, that is the Twilight series. I think she called it the Twilight Saga even though there's only 4 books. I think you need 6 to have a saga, right? I digress. So today, yesterday I did Twilight, today I'm doing New Moon, the worst book in the series. I mean, it's a toss-up between this and Breaking Dawn, to be honest with you, but this one is needlessly 600 pages. I'm going to talk about this today. As I've said before, I was in my twihard days, Team Cullen, not Team Edward or Team Jacob, because I didn't really give a rat's ass about the romance part of it, which is one of the reasons I wanted to go back and explore these books and try and figure out why I did like them at the time, because I don't like romance and I don't like love triangles, so it doesn't really make sense for me to like these books. There you go. The premise, the story of New Moon is that after Twilight, Bella and Edward are together. Bella gets a paper cut at her 18th birthday party at his house. His brother Jasper tries to murder her because she smells so good, and this annoys Edward and he decides to break up with Bella and leave her alone, and for months she is basically catatonic. She is depressed because she can't live without Edward, and eventually her father pushes her to try and go out with her friends again. She realises that by putting herself in dangerous situations she can hallucinate Edward's voice. So she buys some motorcycles and gets her friend Jacob Black to help her fix them up so that she can get as close to death as possible and hear Edward's voice. Totally normal teenage behaviour. So they do this, she does various things to try and hear his voice again. They figure out that the girlfriend of the vampire that bit her in the first book is still after her and wants to kill her in revenge. But I think I've jumped ahead with myself. Jacob is a werewolf, if anyone didn't know that, and so are the other people in his tribe, and after not speaking to her for a while she realises this and they try and protect her from this vampire that's coming back. But in the meantime she's still convinced that Edward never liked her in the first place, that he went away because he didn't want anything to do with her. She ends up jumping off a cliff for fun and almost dying, but because she is saved by the werewolves, Edward's sister Alice, who can see the future, but she can't see werewolves' futures, thinks that she's killed herself. So in Romeo and Juliet fashion, Edward believes that she's dead and decides to go and kill himself by getting himself torn apart by the Volturi, the vampire royal family. So Bella has to have a mad dash to the airport and to Italy to try and stop him from standing out in the sun and being all sparkly. After she does this, the Volturi give them an ultimatum that she knows too much and she has to either turn into a vampire or they're going to kill her soon. How soon? They don't say. But that's the general gist. Edward goes away, she gets closer to Jacob, Edward comes back, Jacob's pissed. That's the main hunk of the story, and weirdly enough I remember my religion teacher, who was like mid-30s man, minister at a Methodist church I think, and married with kids, and he heard us talking about this, us not Twilight people in class, and he read them all and he told us that this was a pointless book because Edward comes back, and at the time I was annoyed, but now I'm like, yeah, he's right, it's kind of pointless. It also, I think even in this, Jacob points out, oh yeah, I broke the book, which was very annoying to read. Jacob points out that Bella is a hypocrite because she thinks that the werewolves are killing people, and she's like, you shouldn't be doing that, that's not right. And he's like, bitch, because Edward's killed people, and she even says to herself, if Edward was killing people now, would I like him? And she's like, yeah, Yeah, love doesn't make any sense. No, but you don't make any sense, okay? If Keith started murdering people, I'd be out that door. I would not be hanging about, okay? But she doesn't seem too bothered. And I actually really like the young character of Jacob before he's a werewolf. He's really nice and he's really sweet and he's a really nice friend. And then he becomes a werewolf and he's just this bitter bastard. He's just so... he's mean and he's mean-spirited and he just doesn't give a shit, and I just don't like how the character went. Like, I didn't want him to be this puppy dog following her around either, but in the later books I remember I just don't like how he turns out and how he tries to spark all these arguments between the three of them so I can try and force Bella to fall in love with him. She never liked him as much as Edward. Like, it didn't make sense. Even before she thought Edward was coming back in this book, she was like, maybe in a few years I could settle for him and I could let him kiss me. Apparently YA these days has a lot of sex in it, and I'm glad I don't read that, and I'm glad there was no sex in this, because I think the cringe would have just given me an aneurysm at that point. But this is, I tried to finish this as quickly as possible. I think I read it in one day because I just, well, first of all I broke it, so that was very irritating to try and read with. But also it's just a whole big yeah, when's Edward coming? It's just it points out the ridiculousness of these two as well for me, because it's like they're so in love with each other and they're so up each other's asses, and then one tiny thing happens and she completely believes he doesn't like her anymore and he never liked her. And it just, yeah, it was the most boring of them. It tried to introduce Edward's character, but he's never, it really just introduces the wolves. Like, he's never a rival for Edward, although she does go on to just be a douchebag to her own boyfriend. But this is the depressed book. This is Bella being moany and depressed, and like, sure, first love broke up with her. I get why she's depressed, but it wasn't a fun book to read. It didn't tell me much other than she's literally insane and she's got issues. But we already knew that. So I don't think you needed 600 pages to figure that out. Jeez. Just thinking back on how I felt when I read this, I can't remember how I felt when I read it the first time, because there was still, you know, I read these before the movies came out or anything. There was still, you know, in the middle of this, like, is she gonna end up with Jacob? Is Edward gonna come back? You know, you don't know. I should have known. But I think on rereading it, this was always the one I was like, okay, I read Twilight, and I was like, now I gotta do New Men before I get to Eclipse, and it was just like, ugh. And I kind of felt the same way this time. I was a lot more skeptical about it when I read it this time, because I was like, I was paying more attention to Bella, I think, and what she was doing, and just painfully selfless. It just annoyed me, and not being in any way bothered that Edward had broken up with her. Like, just, oh, it's fine, I'm like, you have nothing to apologize for. I mean, he does. He broke up with you. Like, it, yeah. But, so yeah, this wasn't the most fun to read again, because I did like Jacob's character in the beginning, and it just went downhill, and he got all bitter. And I know there's a part in the last book where it's actually written from Jacob's perspective, and I think it's even called Life Sucks and Then You Die, and that just puts into perspective how whiny and depressing he is. So he started off as this lovely, warm, fun character, and then he got pulled in by Bella and Edward to be just as whiny and whingy as they were. But, you know, 600 pages, done, thank God. So that is my review for today. It's going to be quite lit. It's quite late right now, but I'm gonna get it up before midnight, so it still counts. And it is my birthday week, so if you'd like to give me a present, I'll have lots more videos that aren't related to Twilight. You can like and subscribe down below, and I shall see you tomorrow in the next video.